setbacks, roadblocks, difficulties. Adversity is pretty common to every one of us. The key is don't let it take you out. Join me for every one of these strategies and tips on how to keep your dream alive. I want to talk to you today about adversity and overcoming self-doubt. I'll never forget the phone call that I got that shut down all of my progress. So we were building a brand new church building, and it had taken us years to get to that point. Conditional use permits and every kind of engineering and architectural meeting you can imagine. And now with one phone call from the city, everything's shut down. Bulldozers, everything stopped, shut down the building. You talk about self-doubt. You talk about opening up. Negative thoughts want to war against us, and the biggest battle is not the adversity itself. When adversity comes, it opens us up to negativity. It opens us up to some real questioning, and one of the biggest questions that comes is, am I the right person to do this? In 1 Samuel 17, it says that David and Saul and all of their men lined up on one side of a valley. We've come to know it as the Valley of Elah, the Valley of the Giants. And on the other side of this valley was the Philistines and their champion named Goliath. How many of you know that adversity is a champion? Adversity's been taking out many people. It's not just what happens with regard to adversity. Sure, we're going to run into problems, but it's the messages that play the mind games that can really mess us up. David had to go into that valley that day and face that giant. Think about that. The top of the mountain, the air is thin and crisp, and you're with God, and it's just your imagination running wild, and it's the top of a mountain that you get ideas and you get all of these inspirational things, but you can't win on the top of a mountain. You have to come down into the valley and face adversity. It wasn't long after that experience that David faced another experience. Just a few chapters later, in 1 Samuel chapter 30, comes into his camp, and his whole camp is like burned with fire. His wife's carried away, all of their stuff's carried away. All of his men lose everything, and it says that they wept until they couldn't weep anymore. I want to encourage you today that David encouraged himself in the Lord, and you can too. I want to encourage you today that you are the right person. God is for you, and that you don't need to doubt that. Now, that's not the way we feel. When adversity comes, what happens is we think, if I was more talented, if I was more athletic, if I was like that guy, and we start thinking about and comparing ourselves to somebody else, and we start thinking, hey, they never had a problem. Nobody shut their building down. How come they made it through that situation? And we start thinking maybe it's us that's the problem. Ecclesiastes 9:11 says that the race is not for the swift and the race is not for the strong, but time and chance work for every one of us. Hang on, persevere, don't give up, stay with your dream, and keep believing in yourself, because God believes in you. And you know what? I do too.